Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Way UK podcast. My name is Xenia and I'm here with Jesse.
Hey.
Jesse, we're on the couch.
Yeah, we
great.
are.
Loving it. I'm just naming the obvious. You know, some people are listening.
Yeah,
so
they don't
might
know.
not
They don't see it.
So yeah, we're on the orange couch and it's vibes. And today we are joined with a very, very special guest on the podcast. We have West with us.
How you doing, guys?
Come on.
How you doing?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Where's the...
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, little clap. Way.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. It's a beautiful day, so yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Come on, sun's out.
Sun's
Got
out,
the
yeah.
shorts on.
I know, you can tell the legs are out. Yeah.
It's
Hi,
great.
Denise.
No, we're going to have fun today because, guys, it's not just a good day because of the weather. No, we have West on the pod to share his story, his testimony,
Amen.
like what God's done in his life. Some of you guys may know him from social media, from TikTok and stuff. But we'll get into that. Don't want to give it all away yet. But yeah, we'll just talk about what God's done in your life and stuff that you're seeing, experiencing, how God's using you. So let's jump in.
Sweet.
Hello, I'm interrupting this podcast to say please like, comment and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and leave a follow and a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, as our goal here at The Way is to share the good news of Jesus with every young person online, and you doing any of those things would really help out with that. Okay, thanks for listening. Back to the pod.
West, it'd be great if you could, I guess, give us a little, who are you? Like whistle stop tour, who is West?
That's a good question.
What does he do? Like, what's the vibes?
So, starting from the beginning, most kids in London, I grew up playing football. So, yeah, I did that for most of my life. And then, as everyone stopped playing, injuries, knee injury.
If it wasn't for that knee injury,
knee injury.
would have gone pro.
And then I kind of realized that was my whole identity. So, like, what do I do? But then I still wanted to be successful. So, I was like, I'm going to go into sales. If I can make money that way, great. So, did that. And from doing that, traveled the world, went to Dubai, working out there. And it was always just I was chasing money. That was like the main goal. I feel like everyone had that hustle culture. So it was just, get money and everything else will kind of make sense after. And then one day, randomly, I was in and around the music industry. So a lot of my friends were artists and like producers, but they were doing their thing, but no one had their moment yet. And then just after COVID, or C19 in case you guys want. I know that word can get a bit,
word for some people, you know.
One of my friends, his song went crazy on TikTok, and then overnight we moved to America. We're living out there, touring.
Wow.
Signed a big record contract, and it was like a baptism of fire, if I'm honest. It was from a very like normal kind of London life, to 90 flights a year, out every other day, doing all these different things, which were like meeting amazing people. But again, it was that classic, like we were chasing something which there was no end goal, because it was not like once you get here, you've finished. So to cut a long story short, after a few years of just like, if you know about the music industry, it's very dark, partying, alcohol, just in general, it's a very, I wouldn't say backstabby, but people, it's like a crabs in a bucket. Everyone wants to be at the top, and you realize you can never be at the top. Someone will always overtake. So I kind of achieved my goals. Like in my eyes, I wanted to tour the world, go platinum, all these things. But then I still felt so empty. Like there was just nothing fulfilling me anymore in that. And I just lost all my passion from, I didn't really want to reply to emails anymore, or, hit up someone about a session or whatever it may be. So I kind of took a little, is it sabbatical? Is that what you call it? Where you take like a break from work?
Yeah.
Because I called it like paternity leave, and they're like, no, that means you need to have a child. And I was like, okay. But like the non-child version of that. And I just moved to Bali.
Wow.
Don't know why.
Huge. That's huge.
Was in Japan, and I came back and I stopped off there for a couple of days, and I stayed in a proper remote part. And I was like, this is nice. So I ended up back in London, and I was like, it just felt so mundane. And yeah, I had no real guide of what I was doing in my life. So I was like, Bali's the answer. I'll be there for a couple months turned into a year and a half. And funny enough, in all places, that's where I ended up finding faith, in Bali.
Wow.
So yeah, that's like a speed run of the last 20 plus years. So yeah.
Wow. That's like that in itself is just a lot. Like,
yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Like, oh wow. Like, even talking about like you growing up and like I guess even going back to the beginning of like you growing up and like being into sport and like finding like your passion and identity through like playing football and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like we can all relate, or I can at least relate, like growing up you find that thing that you like, whether it's music, whether it's sport, or whether it's like academics, and it's like, this is my thing.
Defines
like
you.
this is who, and it almost becomes like who you are. Like when
Straight.
people see football, they see you, like they just associate, because that's just, you know, that's your thing. And I think like it's so easy to get your identity caught up in like what you do, and like, oh, I'm good at this, therefore that's who I am. And then like when that thing gets taken away, then you just feel like the rug's been pulled from your feet. Like, okay, then who am I then? Like that's like really, really tough. And I think so many people can relate to that. I definitely can. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like God often does that. Like he often will take that thing away as if to almost expose and be like, okay, cool. I've kind of made this thing into a bit of a bigger deal than like even God. And yeah, I don't know. I just find it interesting how in a lot of our stories, God often does that. He often takes that thing away.
I feel like in my eyes, in a lot of the times, I was like, it's like two choices, right? So let's say with the music industry, I had a decision. I remember very vividly that I could either go on tour, and I had a partner at the time, and it was either it was like knowing, trying to work it out, life, everyone's doing their thing, and it was like a decision whether I go and chase my dreams or live I won't say normal life, but you know, work things out, who knows, have a kid, get married, whatever it may be. And I feel like a lot of the times you're kind of dealt with these two like choices, and it's very hard to discern which is the right choice, because you're offered everything you've ever dreamed of here, or the mundane and the ordinary or the comfortable. And you're like, you know, you grew up to be like, always go after your goals and your dreams. But then sometimes, or a lot of the time, that's not what you really wanted. That's what you thought you want, because that's like your own ego pushing towards money, fame, success, whatever it may be. And that's not what that's not your purpose. That's what you thought was the choice or the option you had to take. But you have so many different choices. And that's how I felt. I felt like it was like a no-brainer. And looking back in hindsight, it's like I had so many decisions to try and find fulfillment in other areas, not just money and, you know, status effectively. So yeah, it's funny how it can work, and it's just discernment. It's the hardest, having the right discernment.
Discernment's hard. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is.
Yeah, I've never been to Bali, but I do hear the rumours of what it's like. Peaceful, remote, lovely, but also
Tale of two cities, I guess.
yeah, a little bit of a Sodom Sitch. and I guess it's profound to hear that you went to a place which is known for just drugs, alcohol, sex, all of the above. At least from my, it's not the only thing it's known for, but that's why all my school friends went to Bali, and yet you found God there. I'd love to hear that story. Like, what was the process in that?
It's really, I love this story. Well, obviously it's my testimony, but I love it because it's so like, again, in any place, Bali, and the leading up to it. So when I originally moved there, I was kind of just going like a boxing retreat. I saw loads of like boxing gyms, like this is perfect, you know, tropical. So I was there, and if I'm honest, I kind of isolated myself from all the partying and the lifestyle I was used to. I was trying to really just lock in.
Yeah.
And funny enough, one of my friends who I knew from London, like, you know people, but you don't stay in touch with them. And then I bumped into him once. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here? And it's like, oh, da, da, da. So we stayed in touch. And then my other friend who I met in a boxing gym, who like me and him would just hang around. He's from like East London. So I was like, okay, like home, right? And this guy I knew, we like not like a trio, but we'd do stuff together, go boxing, gym. And then one day, my friend was like, oh, there's a church. Do you want to go to the church? And no one's ever invited me to church other than years ago when I went to one, and it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. So I was like, yeah, like I'm good. But then it was like, no one's ever asked since. So I went to this church, and it was super chill. Like, I'll be real, he said like there's, spring rolls or sausage rolls or something like that. And I was like, if there's free food, I ain't eating today, so let's go.
You ain't got to tell me twice.
And my other friend was actually Muslim. So he was like, sure, if there's food, I guess we're like, so as a Muslim, well, I'd say not an atheist, but someone who didn't really have faith, and a Christian going into this church in a hotel conference room with like 25 people from all over America to Europe, Indonesian, super small, very intimate as you can imagine. But this is like my first like intense form of church. I went to ones that were very intense and very pressuring. So I was like, wow, this is pretty chill. They had a little guitar, they were singing. I was like, what? Like, I love this. So we went back every week, right? And this carried on for over a year.
Wow.
I was going to this church, and now New Tribe Bali, shout out New Tribe Bali, they're over like 400 or 500 people now.
Wow.
They've had to move into basically the biggest nightclub in Bali because just space-wise, that's the only thing which can accommodate that many people with air conditioning because it's just too hot. So from 20 people to hundreds, and I saw it from like the ground from February when it started all the way till now, like a year and a bit later.
Whoa.
But with that, I found myself kind of going to church as like a routine, and I didn't really understand. I didn't read the Bible at this point. I've never read the Bible, so for me it was just a fact of you go church equals good Christian, right? So I was doing that, but I was using it more like a TED talk, and never really understanding what's being said. It's like, be nice to your parents. I'm like, cool, gonna message my dad, have a good day, and carry on. So it was making a difference, but never understood why. And then anyway, one of my other friends, and he, funny enough, was someone I hung around with a lot in music as well. He moved to Bali, and we just went back into the old life, partying, drinking, and I really didn't drink at this point. So not only did it affect me just like mentally, but I just had no energy. I was sleeping until silly o'clock. And then, my friend came, who I worked with in the music industry, and we kind of got sucked back into the old life. So 3 months we were just partying, drinking. I didn't really drink at this point. So it just kind of, not only physically was I tired, but like mentally I had no energy, and I just felt like not depressed, but I just had, my purpose has just completely went out the window. All the like hard work I'd done, straight away it just went, it disappeared. So in November, the 13th of November 2024, I was laying in bed, and by the way, no one knows this story. I've only told like one person because I didn't want people to think I was like losing my mind, because when you hear it, they're like, what? I was laying in bed, and this was, I think, on the back of maybe like 2 nights out in a row, and I was feeling real sorry for myself. And I was trying to go to sleep, and I remember I had like a YouTube video on, and my air conditioning unit, so I was like laying on my side, I was like looking that way. And then whilst I was drifting off, out of nowhere, like everything became so vivid and I just couldn't move. And I've never had sleep paralysis before, ever. Like I've heard about it, but I'm like, either you have it or you don't. And I've gone my whole life never even having an issue falling asleep. And I just couldn't move. And then in that moment, I heard this like massive whooshing sound behind me. And this isn't like a thing where it's like, oh, this dream was really vivid. Like I remember vividly, like the YouTube video, what was on, the aircon is on 23 degrees. Like I was still there. It was just, I couldn't move. And I heard it behind me, and it was if you could imagine like a groan with I'm not going to do it, but like maybe the sound guy could dub one in. It was proper, like, it was quite intense. I wouldn't say I was scared. I just felt so uncomfortable. Most uncomfortable I've ever felt in my life. Cause I was like, is this it? And I wanted to turn and face it, but I just couldn't. Like I physically couldn't turn. So I was like, it wasn't getting close. It was just in the back, like in the corner of my room, just making this groaning, whooshing sound. And I was like, who or what is this? Like I'm clearly being visited by like a devil or a demon. And I was, like borderline scared. Like I was thinking, this is it.
Wow.
And luckily, months before, my friend who has sleep paralysis was like, the only way he used to get out was like wiggling his hands. So I was trying to like wiggle my hands, like, well, something's like, I think trying to get me.
Oh, no.
And then it felt like my consciousness was, this whole time it was from my point of view, but then out of nowhere, it felt like I was also watching it from like a third person point of view. And I just felt myself come back into my body, and I effectively woke up, but I was still awake. It just felt like I had control again. And that whooshing sound, straight away, I turned around, it was just gone. Nothing was there. And the YouTube video was carry on playing from the same moment I was watching it. I think it's like some guy who builds cars, like he fixes like cars. And I was like, that's what I used to fall asleep to. And then still going fixing his cars. The aircon was still on 23 degrees. And I was like, oh my God, I got visited by the devil. Like there's no other, scenario. And I'm a super logical guy. And I was like, that was real. And then I kind of took stock, and I always journal. So I journaled it. I wrote down, and I realized, like, looking back from my journal, it was just, I woke up today feeling like sorry for myself, feeling down. I went out last night, and it was just like a period. And I felt like for once, like God's mercy and like his armor, he allowed me to get, he showed me that if you carry on like this is what it looks like. And I felt like my whole life I've been protected, but I always took credit for it. So a good thing would happen, or I'd get out of a really bad situation. And I'm like, oh, I'm so smart. Of course, like, I can't believe I thought of that. Or like, out of the grace of God, something was to happen, just a miracle, an email, something to really get me out of a bad situation. And I'll be like, I'm so clever, and carry on my life. And I've been through a situation where I prayed and I'm like, please God, help me with this. As soon as I'm out of it, that was it. Carry on with normal life. And in that moment, I was like, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. And everything, it was like a complete 180 from when I used to go to church. There was a different purpose towards it now. Going out completely stopped. Like, I was like, I need to make a change now, because I felt what darkness feels like. And I was very close to it. It wasn't moving towards me. It was more like if I moved towards it. And I feel like the metaphor in my head was, it wasn't coming after me. It was like I was coming after it. It didn't move in my room. It was just there. So, yeah, I started having more intention, again, trying to make more wiser decisions with who I was surrounding myself with. And I just found myself in Bali, just going to church on Sunday, boxing in church. And then from that, one of my friends, like a good friend, we was in the gym together, and he was like, what do you even do on the weekends? I'll be honest, bro, I only look forward to going to church. Like, I really do feel like that's the only place that brings me happiness here. He's like, church? You go to church? And obviously, like, stereotypically, I don't probably look like someone who goes to church. And he was like, I've always thought about that faith thing, but it's never really been for me. I said, bro, you should try it. And like 3 weeks later, he got baptized.
Wow.
And in my head, I was like,
whoa.
It makes like, and one day he'll tell his testimony, we'll probably bring this up, what an amazing person this guy is.
Wow.
And he's been through so much, but the fact that like faith saved him, like, and I saw it with my own eyes from someone who never even wanted to. And just the fact of, oh, you go to church. And then things just clicked in his head. And then 3 weeks later, I was there at his baptism, and I was like, okay, this is real. So in Bali, just again, boxing in church. And I was like, it still felt very unfulfilled, if I'm honest. Like, there was something missing. I was like, it's because I'm here. In Bali, there's a lot of spirits. There's a lot of, like you said, drugs, alcohol, partying. And there's a lot of lost people looking for something, right? And they're looking in the wrong areas. And I was like, I definitely fitted into that bracket without knowing. So I feel like I've done everything I need to do here. I've got the nugget. Like, this is why I came here. I didn't understand why. I thought I just had to go there to get like in good shape. But this was why I came here. And then I came back to London. And then, yeah, like 6 weeks ago, I just posted a video like, guys, I'm looking for a church, because I was just vlogging my life anyway. So if I went to Thailand, I'd be like, oh, today, come with me to go to this church, or come with me to go to this market. So it was just like part of my routine. I put up a video asking for a church to go to, and people answered. God answered, and I just had so many places to check out. And then I guess that's how I'm here. So yeah, that's like a testimony and storyline all in one.
That's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gosh.
Don't think I'm crazy, but this
No.
happened. Yeah.
There's
Don't
no
think
one
you're
thinking
crazy.
you're crazy. It's just
Yeah.
profound.
Yeah.
From like the church filling the nightclubs in Bali at the moment. That was the first thing that kind of struck me a bit. It's like in the UK, you see a lot of churches being sold to nightclubs to become nightclubs because no one's going to church. Whereas it's like kind of the flip side, which is just mind blowing. It's like, wow, God is moving so clearly.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. And then to hear your story of just meeting Jesus so kind of like randomly and like without much strategy from like a lot of the churches, I find her like very strategic.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is how we can reach, which is amazing. And strategy is God breathed. But I just love how many stories there are at the moment where people just wander in or just have the thought or just arrive because a friend invited them, and it just rocks their whole world.
It's like belong before you believe.
Yeah.
That was me. I was belonged to a church, but I didn't really have that belief. And I think one day there will be something that clicks. And I, like you said, with churches in a nightclub, it's like a great analogy because I think it's a time where now we need to meet the people where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Instead of the more I read, the more I learn about who Jesus was, Jesus would be sitting with the Pharisees one day and with the prostitutes the next. Like he can be omnipresent. It doesn't mean that you have to come perfect towards God. And that's what I always thought, that I had to be perfect and then I'll go to church or then I'll become a Christian. And when you learn about Jesus, that's not how it works. And well, that's not how I think it works. It's to do with your faith. And again, being in a nightclub, you're supposed to be the light in these dark places. So you shouldn't shy away from the darkness. Darkness is all around us. As soon as I step out that door or leave my house, there's going to be dark moments. But if you let that like scare you off, that I can't go there because it's dark, that's, in my eyes, everything against what he was saying. Like, you have to go and meet them where they're at, whether that's young people, old people, people in the clubs or the churches. And the more and more I learn about Jesus, the more I actually realized I can like connect to this person, because it isn't about you having to be perfect. That's what I always thought. And like I said before, like I think Jesus was gangster, straight. Like he would flip tables in the synagogues. He would tell people about himself. He'd call people hypocrites, and like everything which I thought Christianity was about I was so wrong when I really start to understand what Jesus was about. And he's technically against all of that thing. He's against, wearing certain things or trying to look perfect or be the loudest in prayer or praise. It's not about that. And as soon as I like learned about Jesus, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like he's my God because I relate to that. I could never relate to anyone else because I wasn't perfect. Whereas he saved the sinners.
Well, come on. Do you know what I think is really interesting? Before you were talking about how like when you were working in the music industry, it was like, oh, we did this, we did that, like we toured here, we did that. Like I ticked all the things, but it just wasn't enough. Like I did, but like I still felt empty afterwards. And even with the going to church at first, it's like, oh, I'm going to church because that's what good Christians do. Like I'm doing the thing, but there's like a little bit of a disconnect here. And I think it speaks to like a bigger human issue of how we think we have to do. Like so much of our fulfillment is based on what I can do. Like if I can just make enough songs, or if I can just make enough money, or if I can just go to church enough times, or if I can do. And I think like in all the doing, it doesn't solve anything. And we forget that like God doesn't want us to do, he just wants us to be. He wants us to be with him. And I think even you having that encounter in the room that you were at, like, and you expressing like the darkness and how like you just walking towards it, like it wasn't like it was coming to you, it was like I was walking towards it. Like sometimes we have to just walk towards God, like just walk towards, like it's not about doing the things like how many Bible passages can I memorize. Like God doesn't care as much about your retention of scripture or how many times you gave or how many. He cares about you. Do you know him? Like,
That's
are
it.
you in relationship with
Do you
him?
know him?
Are you with him every day? Like just the being. And I think that just takes such a pressure and a weight off to know like, okay, cool, I don't need to do, like my identity isn't in what I'm doing for God or what I'm doing in my work or what I'm doing at school. My identity is in being a son, being a daughter, like being a child of God. And it's just that simple. So like you saying that, like I can feel like the weight lifting. Like I've definitely felt that. Like when I found God, I felt like, wow, like it's never been more simple, low-key. Like it's actually never been more simple.
So simple.
All I've got to do is just be in relationship with him, and then he'll take care of the rest. Like he literally does.
That's it. Taking care of it, like as an overthinker and like a perfectionist, you end up, you're like your own demise. You end up overthinking a situation and having every scenario planned out. And if I do this, then this will happen and I'll be happy. Then that will mean I'm happy and do this. And you realize that that's not the point of why we're all here. Like if you think that he put us here just to basically stress about every single next move we have, then what a like sad life that will be, right? And it's finding beauty in the everyday. Like being here is a gift enough. Like for us to be able to even speak and talk and walk around, like there's so many things we can be thankful for.
Yeah.
And I think he made me realize that I was always like, okay, when I go gold, I'll be happy. Okay, when I go platinum, I'll be happy. Okay, when I buy this new car will be happy.
Mm.
And it was always when I do this, when I get that, and you can never, there's never enough.
Yeah.
And it's when you take it back and like in essence, like lose everything, you really have to come to him like completely like humble and bare. I felt like you can't approach it in my eyes as like, I already know what's going on. I know best. And I think that's for me, and I say a lot of people in like my situation, that we always think we know best because of what we've done, but we've really done nothing. It can be taken away as easy as it was given.
Wow.
And yeah, having that relationship, you know, I'll be just walking about the street, and you know, sometimes I'm still human. I'll be like, man, and I'll just see like a leaf fall from a tree, or you know, I'll just see like, now I have like a niece, and I've got a really good relationship with her, and I think that's also helped me like have that sense of like love for just, like he says, you have to come to him like a child, and just like the inquisitive nature of children and how like pure they are. And I'm like, that's how we need to be. Like, you're just such a better person in general if you drop the ego, drop everything which you think makes you, and just be like, I'm a child of God. Like, if someone asked me what I'd be before, you know, okay, I'll do this. I'd always probably approach it with my occupation.
Yeah.
And I think most people will do that. I've been in so many rooms where it's like, oh, hi. And it's like, yeah, da-da-da-da, before they even tell me their name. And I'm like, but who are you? Like, that's just your
Yeah.
job. Like, and I've definitely been a victim to it. And like you said, we can define ourselves with like such worldly things. But the simple answer is just like following Jesus has all the answers. All their self-help books I've read, everything I've realized is in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's all there. So yeah, my life is the weight. Like, who knows? You're always, what is it? You're going into a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of one. So whatever stage you're in, like, it's guaranteed it's gonna happen. But like, knowing that regardless, like, you're good. And it's just the pressure. I know tomorrow might have a bad day, but it's still a good day because like the next day will be good. Like, I don't worry too much about, you know, what's gonna happen too much. And that, yeah, I feel so much stress free and lighter.
So good.
Yeah.
How else has it like affected your life now? Like you know, November 13th, 2024 wasn't that long ago.
No.
And you're already like, oh yeah, it's changed my perspective entirely. You know, I no longer feel like it's a bad day because tomorrow's going to be a good day. And like there's lots of different attitude shifts that is awesome. But I just like, how has living with Jesus like changed your life as of recently? What's something that you've noticed in yourself?
I think like conversations I have with myself, and it feels like someone's also there now. Like, I'm not just speaking to my ego constantly. Not all decisions aren't fueled to like make me look better. It's having like that word discernment, like sitting there and speaking to him is like, should I do this? Not just if it's meant for me, you'll bring it into my life, but really like trying to get into like a sense of wisdom, like the wisdom Jesus shows when he speaks to people and the Pharisees and how they try to trip him up and he could never get caught. And having that in like my thought process every day, that can I look at it a different perspective? You know, am I, as much as, you know, I might be angry about a certain thing or happy about a certain thing, like very cliche, but what would Jesus try and do in this situation?
Yeah.
And I think from that, I would say, I know everyone says like they feel lighter and they feel happier, but I feel like when I'm alone, I don't feel alone like completely. Like, I live by myself and I've spent a lot of time by myself for most of my life, but I felt by myself in those moments. Whereas now I don't feel by myself. I feel like there's always like a North Star where if I want to speak to someone, or I want to turn to or open my Bible, that whatever I read or whatever I say or whatever I hear, it's just perfect for what I need in that moment. And yeah, it feels like you got a superpower. Like, without being too,
That's
like,
cool.
it does feel like you've like tapped into a different state where, again, instead of just being in this like human form, you can really feel like you're not alone in a room which is completely empty. And yeah, it's an experience until you've felt, it's really hard to describe. I felt like, especially to like my friends or my family who are like looking at faith. It's like, once you get it, you'll understand that, yeah, you might be happier, you might feel lighter, but that like sense of loneliness, which is prevalent amongst young people now, when all people, to like everyone, it fills that void. It filled that void for me, for sure.
Wow. And so talk to me now about like the stuff that you're doing on social media, on TikTok and stuff, like okay, cool, you came back to the UK, you're like, guys, help me find a church. The people responded. The people were like, you should come to this church, you should come to that church. Like, talk us through your whole journey online and how like God's been using you in that space.
So posted like as a little snippet of where should I go, and had loads of people mention their churches, repping a church, and I was like, cool, let me just go and see what it's like. So the first one I went to was Hillsong, just because that was the first one I saw. I was like, it's convenient, Tottenham Court Road, easy to get to, and really enjoyed it. And I was like, again, with my content, it's very just how it's just honest. I'm not trying to review anything. Same way I'd, if I was going to try a new restaurant, I'd just be like, guys, come with me. It was kind of that vibe of just, this is what I'm doing with my day, like join me on it. And I didn't expect it to even, I was doing it when I was in Bali, even when I went to Thailand, like I was like, come with me to this church. And they got like, people would like comment and reply, but it was never like, this is what is going to connect with people visiting churches. So I was just like, cool, I'll go to church, record it. And then just the impact of how many people like, oh my God, I'm going to try that out. Well, I've always wanted to go, but I thought it was, candles and white robes and, praying 20 times. Like, no, it was very chill.
Yeah.
And it was like eye-opening, not just for me, but for obviously other people. So then I was like, cool. Like my goal was to find a place where I actually like felt like at home. But then during that time, the amount of messages, comments where people like, you've given me like confidence to try a church now, or I wanted to go there, and people like, I saw your video, like I'm gonna try it out. I was like, what a weird way for like God to like introduce people to churches through a TikTok video.
Wow.
So then I was like, if it can help other people out, because I don't have a problem walking into a church by myself and doing a voiceover after and posting on TikTok. But some people find that really intimidating to even walk into a church by themselves, or even with friends. Like, it can feel like you have to be perfect. Like, you have to know, everyone knows you're new. So it's like, who's a new person? Everyone's like, yeah, this person's new. And it's like, oh my God. Like, I can imagine that could feel intimidating. So the fact is like, cool, I don't really have that feeling in me. Maybe I can help others by just going in there and saying how I feel. And just inadvertently, it ended up being like a little series where part of my day would be just trying out a church. And from that, I've met so many amazing people, pastors. And also, I think it's super important that we are transparent. As like Christianity, when I first was introduced to it, I thought it was very intense.
Right.
Oh God, the Christians are about, it was like, they're Christian is like, go the other way kind of thing. Like, I got chased home before telling me I was going to go to hell if I don't go to church. And I was like, lady, chill out. Like, it was very like, and that was obviously the extreme, but in general, most people are like, oh, you're Christian. Like, it must be quite tough, right? Like, so I also had the same point of view. So then now kind of the smoke and mirrors of what really goes on is like being unveiled in my eyes. And obviously on my TikTok, people are like, oh, this ain't as bad as I thought it'd be. And like I said, I think we need to meet the young people where they're at. And it's not about like expecting them to conform to what we think is right, or not we, but say churches of old. You have to meet them where they're at and connect with them, not expecting them to change their whole lifestyle and how they think to follow a traditional path of what it's been like. As long as we're sticking to the word, then if churches are having bands come in and play worship music, what's the problem? Like my favorite, I don't know which verse in Matthew, but it's like, why worry about the speck in my eye when you have a log in yours? And I think that's a perfect analogy. Anytime anyone has something to say, I'm like, if you're Christian, why are you worried about what I'm doing? Like, worry about yourself, because unless you're perfect, which none of us are, like, then, let's proceed, right? And I think with the younger people, I can't take credit for this. They're not anti-faith, they're anti-fake. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, that's so true. They're not against faith. They just don't want fakeness. They want it raw and like what's really going on. Like, what is this all about? Not coerced. And that's how I felt when I first went to church years ago. It felt like I was being coerced into something rather than just being inquisitive. What's this about? Asking questions. It felt like you couldn't ask any questions. You do this and you're going to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, tough. And I was like, that's not what it's about. So
that's good.
I think it could scare some people only if you're on that kind of vibe. If you are just, as Jesus taught us to be, just very like, again, like loving and all the great parts, and I say transparent with what really is going on. There's no, like, I couldn't see a problem with it. So yeah, you know, if I save a cat from a tree, people might say something. Like, if I record in a church, people might not like it, but I think, yes, the ones who may not like it, there's 20, 30, 40 times more people who are being helped by it. So
Yeah,
it's mad how God can call you to do things which you never, if you asked me, I was doing that a couple of weeks ago, I'd be like, what? But yeah, it's crazy.
And I also think like what you said about the anti-fake is really sick because I feel like with TikTok as well, like it's less like filtery. Like people do lots of vlogging and it feels like very personable. Like people showing like the real parts of their life. Like it feels less filtered, like on that space from like my experience. I feel like we're in like an unfiltered kind of like era, which I think like it makes sense for God to use this. Like it makes sense for him because you can already tell people not doing pretenses on this space. So if I'm sharing something, it's probably because like I just want to share this. Like I have no agenda behind this. It's not because I need you to follow me or whatever. I just want to share my experience and just share my life. And if it helps somebody, then great. If it doesn't, then also great. Like at least I was being obedient to God. I was just following what he told me to do. And off the back of that obedience and just trying to be authentic, like how many people have been impacted by that. And like, I'm just very, very encouraged to know that like, if I'm just obedient in the small things and like what God's asking me to do, then he'll use it. Like he'll use that to help people. And if that's on social media, then yes, like share your faith or share your experiences. If it's off social media, then also do the same thing. Like I'm just really, really encouraged by the fact that God cares about the little details.
Yeah.
And like he cares about like our experiences and he'll shine a light on that to like help other people. So I think that's really, really cool.
Totally agree. I think like you can go in the street and, you know, evangelize that way, or you can do it by posting TikTok. There's so many ways you can reach people. It's just about what really connects. And I think, again, meeting them where they're at, where they're used to just scrolling and seeing entertaining content. If that now is entertaining them, that someone's going to a church and it's inspired them to go to a church, or, you know, they've seen like a Bible verse that really resonated with them whilst going through TikTok, then happy days. Like it doesn't have to be the days of old. Like things do adapt. And I guess now we're seeing that with just the amount of young people now going to church is like, I think it's like 4 times in the last couple of years, which is crazy.
It's mental.
So, yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, there's so much nuggets of wisdom and so much like to unpack. Like even as I'm leaving, I'm like, wow, gosh, how can I go to rather than just expect people to come? I feel like that's like, how do I draw to people rather than just waiting for them to come to me? Like, how do I be a Christian that isn't afraid of stepping into darkness? How do I be a Christian who isn't afraid of real things? Because I'm in a little pretty church circle. Where do I need to stop doing and start just being and remembering that God is there?
Thanks.
Like, I know we've moved on from that point, but that point is just still with me. Like, because when we were talking about doing, we were talking a little bit about like a standard, right? Like, I thought I couldn't come to church because there was a standard. I had to do this. Like, the world's just about doing because then you can reach this status or standard. But also, it's crazy to me. I was just thinking about how distracting that is. It's like, it's not just a standard, but it's like it actually distracts you from pausing and thinking about those moments where you sent up a prayer and you're like, Lord, will you get me out of it? You got out of it. You moved on to the next. But if you stopped and you took a breath and you rested, how important that is. And I think even as Christians, this is a call, hearing your story, a call to get out of the doing and distractions so that we can start being and actually hear God and meet with God. And it's a call to step out of our own little circles and find ways in which we can go to people. I love that you said there was a few, like you can do TikTok, you can do like going out onto the streets maybe, but what's another way in which you think the church can step up a little bit with that?
Cool.
Do you know, like, how can we do better?
You know, I think my favorite quote I've heard recently is like, you may be the only Bible people get to read. So I guess it's just living with integrity. As much as, you know, we have so many things which can affect us, like going through life, still having like your own dignity and integrity and following the word as close as we can, like as much as we can. Again, we're still human, like we are flesh, like there is corruption within this world we live in, unfortunately, but people will see you and you'll just be a walking testimony on how you treat others and how you act. So you don't have to go and make TikToks or evangelize on the street or do anything effectively. You could just be a good person, like try and connect with God, connect with Jesus, like have faith. And I think through that people see it, and naturally people love to follow someone who's leading like in a good way. And like I'm pretty sure the more leaders that spring up who are doing that, you'll see so many more people following behind. So
Come on.
yeah,
It's cool.
It's like what Paul says, like imitate me as I imitate Christ. And I think that's so perfect and such a real nugget for us to like, I guess, kind of take away. It's like, actually, if I just be with God and I just live that way, like I don't put the filters on, I don't fake it till I make it, I don't act like I've got everything perfect, but I just live authentically in my flaws, in my mistakes, but just imitating the Lord. Like people around me will see that, and that's the thing that will draw people to God. Like people are not looking for perfection, but they're looking to see like, okay, just the day by day. It's the day by day faithfulness. It's the day by day just walking towards God, and out of that, like that will be a light that attracts so many people. So I'm just so encouraged, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm encouraged.
I'm
I know you're
encouraged.
encouraged by everything that you've like shared on the pod. So yeah, Wes, thank you for joining us.
thank
come
you
on.
for having
Thanks
me,
for
guys.
sharing your story, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens.
That's what it's about.
It was great.
I
And
appreciate it.
hopefully you guys also enjoyed it as well. Leave us a comment if you're watching on YouTube or wherever else we listen to podcasts these days. I don't know, there's like a million platforms out here. But yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know like if anything stirred within you, or, you know, God was speaking to you. We'd love to know what you've been thinking as you've been watching and listening. But thank you guys for tuning in. We've got more episodes of the podcast coming all the time. Who knows when? Put the notifications on. Get with it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next
See you
episode.
next time.